All right, well, we'll get this party started. Yeah, so thank you, Patty. I just want to say a quick hello to everybody watching live right now and to everybody watching the recording as well. So we are excited for another football season, another Pitt homecoming season. But right now, we are excited to cook. We are excited to eat. I am being joined by alumna and super fan Patty Irrgang over here.
Hello, everybody.
So we're going to be making you're gonna be making 3 awesome dishes. I'll be tasting 3 awesome dishes. But first, I would just like you to introduce yourself and just let us know what we're gonna be trying today.
Sure, I'm Patty Irrgang, and for this particular situation, I'll just say this is our 50th year in football. So we have been fans for a long time, started as students, and we put a cookbook. Excuse me, I put a cookbook. Our friend who's 88, she's a big fan too, Joan Bigley. She knew all about our background and our tailgating and just traveling all over the country we got all the like besides going to call home things. And we've just had such a great time. And I feel that food connects people. I do have a cooking school, and that came out of my love of cooking and sharing food with people. So she suggested I write the cookbook because I had a very dysfunctional childhood, but I stayed very positive, and she thought people needed to know about that. So she suggested a cookbook, and then also engaged in the whole thing. There are 95 recipes. It's all stories of our travels, and we have 3 generations involved with our football fund. And of course, they were both alums. My husband's the chair of the physical therapy department. Besides me being an alum, I have also worked there for 15 years, ran renovation projects for the provost office. And then I branched out here. It's time to move on and do a cooking school. So this is how the cookbook came to be. So we're going to do 3 recipes tonight. Tyler chose a couple of them, and then I chose a dessert because it's a really simple and fun dessert. And it is something that you can make a couple days ahead of time. You can also freeze it. So I'll tell you what they are. We'll start with dessert first. Anyway, so this is called my favorite apple, and it is the closest thing to making a scratch cake. A box cake. It really is a scratch cake, and it's a very thick batter, and you'll see how easy this is when we make that. And then we have something called a corn jalapeno and cheese casserole, and this is really, and we use this all year round. We make it down at the beach. Became part of our Thanksgiving dinner.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull this enough so you can taste it.
All right, let's fly in here.
I need somebody to make sure it's okay.
All right.
And then we get another spoon here. And this, get a lot of requests for this. This is a pierogi casserole. So it's mashed potatoes. And I use a flat macaroni in it, and mashed potatoes have cheese in it. Then in between the layers, it's onions and butter. So it's like a pierogi. Really kind of good. So I'm gonna let these cool for you.
All right, sounds good.
And I will set these over here, and you can get you some spoons. So you can sample as we go.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it for everything. I know for the attending live, about the recipes and the grocery list, but for the recording, we'll also have that like in the link to check it out. And I'll be in and out here because I don't want too many cooks in the kitchen, literally. But also, I know this is also an interactive webinar, so I'll be checking the chat periodically. If you have questions, feel free to drop them into the chat, into the Q&A. And like I said, I'll come address anything, whatever, but I'll be here. And then also, Patty mentioned her book, so throughout the presentation too, we'll be rattling off 3 copies of the book to attendees attending live right now. But sounds good. Time to
hopefully it's not too hot for you. But what I wanted to is that all right?
All right.
This is really nice too, because you can have it just scoop to the side with whatever.
You're all in for a treat, yeah. So.
It's also good if you're going to take it like to a party. You can take tortilla chips. It's really good to dip with that. So it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we're getting started.
Okay, sounds good. We're going to make the cake first. I'll push this out of the way. So you can see everything. See, and I chose this because it is so simple. All of the ingredients, except for the apples, go in all at the same time. Just as if you're making a box cake, so it's really, really fun.
Put this over here, make some room for
Make
it.
sure.
Mhm.
Okay, I just plug it in for good shape. The other thing to do is prep your pan first. I like to use parchment paper because the cleanup is amazing. You don't have to grease and flour your pan. And if you do just want to lift the whole thing out at the end and wrap it up with the freezer. So that is the pan prep. I put our liquid, which is orange juice and oil. I already measured that out. So it's 3 cups of flour and 2 cups of sugar. The recipe calls for 3 teaspoons of baking powder, which is actually 1 tablespoon. And that goes in. So those are all of the dry ingredients. All right. We already have I put the orange juice and the oil on the same cup, so that's good. That goes in. Our 4 eggs. When I'm preparing for a big, party, get together, whatever, or tailgating, I like to do all my baked things that I can do ahead of time, things that aren't fussy, the things that can go in the freezer, or just because then they're done and out of your way, and it's one less thing you have to worry about. And those are things you can do ahead of time that stand up well to the time. So, you see overhead?
I'm getting from all angles.
Okay, sounds good.
I know those watching can see from all angles too.
All right.
I got from those too.
But this is as hard as it is, and it just takes a minute to mix.
Hey Patty, we have a question from Q&A.
Right, as you see, it's just a very thick batter. While we're doing that, I prep the apples ahead of time. Nice peeled. Cut the apples into wedges and sprinkle a little cinnamon on it and sugar, and just toss it so it starts to form a juice. We're almost done here. This cake is best made actually 1 to 2 days ahead of time because it just becomes more moist. And because it has oil in the batter, it just gives it a really, really nice, tender cake texture. So, put that out of the way. So we take half of the batter, and that's roughly. You don't have to measure to make sure it's half.
Questions over here too.
Yes.
Bouncing around.
Yes, any questions?
We have Ann asking, can she also add sauerkraut?
To the pierogi casserole. Oh, absolutely. You can put in whatever your favorite pierogi flavors are.
So we can get creative and just go crazy.
Yeah, because this has the cheese and the onions and the butter in it, but definitely sauerkraut would be excellent. All right, so I'm just gonna take roughly batter. Spread that real thin. And you don't have to be really exact with this. It all evens out once it hits the oven. All right, I'm going to take the apples. I don't know if you can see, there's a nice juice down there. And we're going to put these on. Try to kind of do it in a single layer. I'm going to do it as quickly as I can. I just kind of line them up. Do them kind of quick here. Take your time, whatever speed you like to put them in, it's perfectly fine. All right, so as you can see, we have all the apples on top of the first layer of batter. And then this I like to kind of drizzle on because it's hard to spread it, but we just kind of let it go on top. Use all of it.
The folks from the side, get the,
Yes.
The side. There it is. Oh,
No, I shouldn't have been standing there.
Very good. Put this here.
Alright, so trying to cover the apples. The cake batter on top will rise above the apples, but you cover them up. That's a good idea to get it started. And that's as hard as that is. Yes. So if anybody has any questions about that batter, we'll see. And I'm going to throw this in the oven. This does take about an hour to cook, and it's the center that you just have to really watch before you pull it out of the oven. If you can put a knife in and pull it out. Let me get this out of here. All right. I'm gonna set the timer. I set it for about 45 minutes just to get going, and then you can tell later if you need to put it back in. Any questions on the cake?
No questions just yet. My only question is, when can I eat some more?
Well, here you go. Here's your piece.
So,
Start with.
oh, great.
We're taking the rest home.
That was the fastest 40 minutes. About 40 or 45 minutes.
Here you
I
go.
want to under overcook it.
See, and I did freeze this one.
I'll get a close up over here on this one. So.
I should have turned while I was making it.
Oh, no,
Sorry
we're
about
good.
that.
So.
I do have to show you, this is my original recipe I had since I was like 10 years old. So I have a lot of my recipes are like that. There's a picture in the book. I know everybody has ragtag recipes that was their grandmothers or their mothers or whatever. I did take a picture of that, so that's kind of funny. Also, another picture in there, which is fun, is majority of all of our tickets from when we were students all the way through. So we have from like the Sugar Bowl from the national championship. We have going to Texas A&M and Utah and Iowa and Nebraska, and all of course of our regular conference games. But so there's a picture in there of all that, which is really a lot of fun. It's a little harder to collect those these days because of mobile ticketing, but the ones that you can get, kind of nice to see. Oh, you like that?
This will be worth a 40-minute wait, 45-minute wait.
And this is like not it's a very rustic cake because there's no icing to it. It really just doesn't need it. It's one of the few cakes that really doesn't need to have anything more to it. So it's a nice texture. In the book, that is in the book, and also it's nice to use. You can use blueberries instead of the apples. You can combine, say, blueberries and apples. I've used peaches. All of those are good fruits to use in the cake. I say any combination of them really does taste good too. All right. No questions.
No questions just yet.
Okay.
Keep on cooking.
All right, we'll do the next thing. We'll get the pierogi casserole in the oven. And what I want to show you is a lot of people have never made mashed potatoes before. So I do have them made up for the casserole, but I am going to show you. Move all this stuff out of the way. Like that.
We'll do the dishes after the segment.
Yes. This one is already together. All right. So I had just boiled the mashed potatoes before we went live. They're good and hot. So here are our boiled and drained potatoes. And I'm going to cut some butter into it. I have all the proportions, of course, in the recipes. And we're just going to whip these up. The butter's going to melt right into it. Is that okay?
Behind the scenes.
About them. I don't mind looking by the fingers. Some people do mind lumps in them, but
Yeah.
I think they kind of a little texture.
Walk around doing camera check real quick. So if anybody watching, needs to see something from a different angle or whatever, I feel like I have the front seat. So whoa. You need me to come hold it up over there.
Yeah, we put it whatever angle
Yeah.
we need to. So I think I'm just eyeballing it, but I give you some proportions. Different potatoes have different moisture content, so sometimes you need a little bit more milk, but you just want to make a creamy mashed potato. I would err on putting a little less milk in at first, and if you need more, because once you put too much in, you can't take it back out. Cheese, and in this particular recipe, I don't always put cheese in my mashed potatoes, but in this recipe, it makes it really good. That cheese should melt, but if it doesn't, it's going to melt when it goes into the casserole dish anyway. So there are our mashed potatoes. Saying that was pretty easy to do. I think what takes the most amount of time is just peeling and cutting them and then putting them in the pan again. It takes about 20 minutes for the potatoes to cook. And you cube them up just at about a ½ inch size. And that way they won't turn to mush. And if they're too big, they'll take a lot longer if you cube them bigger than that. So those are our mashed potatoes. Now we're going to assemble. So the macaroni I like to use, I use like the farfalle, the little butterflies, because they're flat. It just seems to meld all together better. You can use whatever macaroni that works for you. I wouldn't use spaghetti. That would not work out real well, I don't think. Might get a little mushy. So we're gonna have 3 layers of mashed potatoes with 2 layers of pasta. So just put about a ½ inch layer or so on the bottom. And then just layer in. Right. I had melted the butter and sliced up the onions before, and then I just put them in the pan and saute them a little bit till the onions kind of get translucent. Here, save some for the next layer. Butter and the onions just melt right into it. Another layer. Layer of potatoes. See, I'm just using a small casserole dish here. You can use whatever size works for you. A dish about this big takes about 5 pounds of potatoes. All right. Last layer on.
And about how many would this be right here?
This little bit. 2 to 4 people, depending on the big people, little people. Like, kids will eat a little bit. Or it could be just one serving.
Yeah.
It just depends on your appetite.
Yeah.
I usually make actually a bigger one even than this one. All right, so there's that. Put our nice amount of onions and butter on there. Just spread that around. Look at that. The taste tastes pretty good, even not even in the casserole. Just kind of put a spoon, just tastes pretty good.
Trying to refrain from picking over here.
Here, I can give you a spoon for reference. And we don't eat like all these tailgate recipes. This is not how we eat every day. But we just feel like tailgates is just a celebration of people getting together. It's fun. No matter our motto is don't let the bad game ruin a good party. When you have a good game, it makes the party even better, of course. So it is fun, but we just really enjoy getting together with all of our friends. It's a time of year we know for sure we're going to see everybody, and try to get together other times of the year, but at least during football season, you're going to see all your football friends and you can celebrate and commiserate depending on what's going on.
Good games and good food.
Yep, nothing wrong with that. So I was saying how we travel. Let's see how we're doing on time. And it is amazing that people, as you're walking through the parking lot going to the game, people will welcome you. Last year we went to Louisville. It took us over an hour to get in. So many people said, "You came from Pittsburgh, y'all come on over, have something." You got to taste different food. I always come home with a recipe, and it's just really a lot of fun. And then I ask people, like, "Hey, where did you get your recipe from?" And I was, "It was my grandma's," or "I saw it in a magazine and started making it," and it's just, you know, became a favorite of ours, and it's really fun to get to know people. So there's the casserole, and that will go right in the oven. I'm going to set that aside for right now. Get these things out of the way. Whoops. What is the time? How are we doing on time?
I think we're doing it right.
How am I going so fast?
No, we're good. 6:25.
Oh, no, we can really take our time with the rest of
Got
the
another half hour. We'll take questions at the end.
Yeah. Should
Still
we
got
see?
30 minutes for that to
That is true for that to come out. I'll put the light on. We can see how it's doing.
Yeah.
It's rising.
Check to see if we have
Yeah, let's see if
questions.
any questions along the way here. I'm curious how many people have not had the opportunity to make mashed potatoes before. And was this a help? Let's see.
Yeah, no questions yet, so that means we're doing good so far.
Okay. All right, that sounds fun. All right, so I'm going to move this nice hot dish over.
Yeah, I mean, the mashed potatoes alone look like they can just be a meal, and it's on top.
They're
So
pretty good. See, I very rarely, I don't put cheese in for like a regular meal. Maybe we should for sometimes, but anyway, that isn't like the norm, but it's the butter,
It's
the
game
milk,
day,
and the
treat
salt.
yourselves.
Yeah, that's right. It's just extra fun.
okay, good view of it over here. So before we dig into it,
We do have a question from Q&A if you can hear me.
looks like we have a question.
Okay, good.
Over here. So.
Good.
So
I
it's
wanna
are
go
you
fast.
are you
Yes.
traveling? Are you traveling this weekend? I will be at the college football
Okay,
game.
good.
So you're traveling this weekend.
Yes, we are.
All right, sounds good.
We're going to Virginia Tech.
All right.
They have great turkey legs down there. If anybody has never been there before, they have a little trailer set up outside, and it's like it's not a scout troop. It's another organization, and this is like a fundraiser thing. But they have smoked turkey legs. People just line up, and last time we were there, they ran out, which was kind of unusual. But the legs are like this big, and they wrap them up in foil. You know, and you can take them into the game and sit there and chomp away.
Well, it looks like Jenny Lee Wright traveled to the game. We'll also get the college football game on Saturday. So
Very good.
you know, maybe if you're there, Jenny,
Yes,
you can
I think
try
we're all
some
in-
of it firsthand. Yeah.
I think we're all in the same section. Definitely.
Just look for the blue and gold. You know.
That is good. But yeah, the people there, we've really found the fans to be very friendly. A couple schools, which I won't mention, but everybody can probably figure out who they are and who are not friendly. But everybody else in the rest of the country, it's really.
It's because they're not eating good potatoes.
That's right.
Don't know what's in their potatoes.
Okay, so let's see. We'll put the corn and jalapeno together, and that is just using a bag of frozen corn. You just open it, pour it into your dish. You don't have to do anything to it beforehand. I like to get the more smaller kernel ones. This one is a mixture of the white and yellow, but I just know that the kernels are smaller, so some corn is like it's really big and then it's kind of dry and just tasty. But the smaller kernel of corn nice and tender. So pour this in. Just give us some room to serve with. Potatoes off my fingers. So that is your base. So what I'm going to show you is what goes into it. Here are the vegetables that I cut up. So you can use full size, regular size peppers. You can use whatever colors, green, yellow, red, orange. You can use the little baby ones. And when I do that, I just cut them like right into rings. So here they are, everything's cut up. The green onion, that's good. A clove of garlic goes in, and then your jalapeno. So I just chop everything up. And then
Folks on the side.
I keep forgetting the camera here. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of cutting everybody off over there. Here are the vegetables sauteed. So you have to cut the vegetables, put a little bit of oil in your pan, and then just not on a high heat, like medium, high, and just till they get a little bit soft. So you have the corn in there. I'm going to put vegetables in. So I'll tell you a little something about hot sauce. I really don't like heat. But what I have found over time is that put a little bit in, it gives you flavor without giving you a lot of heat. But you can regulate this to however hot or mild that you like it to be. For when I make things for a group, I'll make it just medium, so that if anybody wants more, then I'll put hot sauce on the table and make it hotter. And then you can use as much jalapeno as you want. You know, if you really like heat, slice up, you know, a lot of jalapeno. If not, say it just gives it enough flavor. That's all that's there for. Just a really nice combination.
Choose your adventure.
Right?
Choose your adventure.
That's correct. Whatever you like to do. All right, I'm gonna have you put some hot sauce in.
All right.
I shook it up. So,
Just tell me when.
shots on. A little bit more. That looks good.
On the mild side for now.
Definitely
Spicy
on the
flavor.
mild side. But it'll be just right. Yeah, it's amazing just the nice flavor that it gives it. Right. But I'm gonna explore that. I'm gonna serve this together.
Sounds good.
Let's see. So I'll get this out for you. So the proportions are in there. But when I first got this recipe, it was called a dip, and it had so much mayonnaise in there, you can hardly find the corn for it. And it was almost like,
So it's about like 3 tablespoons.
yeah, it was like a little too much. So I've cut down on the original recipe that I had found. It was in a magazine. I was sitting in the doctor's office a long time ago, so it looked pretty good.
Just stir it up.
Yeah, I'll put a little cheese on here.
Cheese.
I'm gonna add some more. All right, go ahead and just stir it together.
Get in front of the camera over here. Making a mess out of it. That's the best way to do it.
You're doing just fine. And you can kind of tell when it's done. You just want enough to stick it together. The cheese, of course, will melt. And as you can see, we'll show that again to show you the consistency of it all cooked. Baked. Isn't that hard? See, now you got something you can take.
Worked up an appetite.
All right, so we'll go ahead and put this in. I'm just gonna stir a little bit more. So this just has the right amount in it. As you say, it's just enough to keep it stuck together. I would say between cutting the vegetables up, sauteing them, and putting this together might be 15 minutes. And then if you use a bigger casserole dish, you make a bigger volume, it might take about 35 minutes or so. This size will probably take about 20 minutes. So it's a nice, easy thing. It's great to take anywhere. You wrap it in foil when it comes out of the oven and take it to a party or whatever. Or it actually doesn't taste too bad after it's out of the oven and it's come to room temperature. It's pretty good too. So you don't have to worry about it being piping hot. Nice adaptable dish. Any questions?
Didn't see anything come through just yet, so we always take questions at the end too.
Okay, all right, that's fine. So I'm gonna put these two things aside here. And we did that pretty quickly.
All right.
I was rushing to make sure we had enough time. So let's see what else. Try to think anything about, I can tell you a little more about the cookbook. So it's divided into 5 sections. It's traditional tailgating, which We have pulled pork in there, deep fried turkey. There's 2 kinds of chili. There's a really good chicken recipe that you can either grill or you can put in a smoker.
Little preview
Yeah.
over here.
Gumbo is in there.
Uh-huh.
Something called Low Country Boil. Anybody's been to the coast of South Carolina, it's really good. It's basically kibasi corn, shrimp, potatoes.
I'm into all the sweets right now.
Yeah.
We got some breakfast options for those early games.
Yes, so we have sides and salads and then desserts. And then we've had so many noon kicks, over the years that I've developed a lot of breakfast things from our travels. Like, so there's sausage gravy in there, and then there's biscuits. And biscuits are really pretty competitive when you travel. Every area has their own kind that they really, really like, and they compete against each other. And say, hey, if you had some over in North Carolina, those aren't any good compared to ours. But it's just fun to see the all food competition that people do. But I have a lot of breakfast in there. And then non-traditional, it would get to the end of the season and we weren't quite sure, like, gosh, we've made so many things already. We make pasta bar. And so I'll make 3 different pastas up ahead of time and then 3 different sauces. And then on our cook stove, everybody comes through and they tell me which pasta and which sauce they want. So we customize, and it's really a lot of fun. That's nice when it's really, really cold out and gets the spot there. But another thing that came to mind talking about deep fried turkey is that before all the building happened, like the early 2000s, in the parking lots, especially like the gold lot areas, we came and stayed on Thanksgiving Day. So there's some pictures in the book, and instead of setting our tables up like we normally did, we bought table linens, and we brought a little fire pit, and we had flowers, and we had a side table with all the food on it, and then everybody just sat down and like this Thanksgiving dinner at home. We even brought a rug that we put down on that spot underneath it there. So that was a lot of fun to do.
Thankful for Pitt Panthers.
Yes. So just a lot of really good memories and fun times, and we moved all around, just complying with how the parking changes all the time. But so far we're doing okay. You're good. You want to take some questions?
Yeah, so I'll check to see if we have any more questions coming in over here. And it's always a good thing when you finish earlier rather than later. It's like, hey, maybe this is a quick and easy recipe.
Something
It was
else
quicker than we thought it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So very good. But then I saw like we're also giving away 3 copies of the book today too. So I know Lauren behind the scenes was going to find 3 random names to draw. So we'll give those away before we close the segment too. But we'll see if we have any questions, and then I still have some others.
Oh yes,
I gotta
you
get
need
through
to
it.
definitely make sure that those don't go to waste.
So as for right now, looks like we have no more questions.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So that is good. I mean, again, as we said, when we have to follow up, we'll include your contact in there,
Thank
Patty.
you.
So if you have any questions afterwards, so I know sometimes that goes like, hey, I'm thinking of trying it with this. Can I substitute that? So I mean,
Feel free to contact me with any kind of questions.
all right.
Be
Cool.
happy to.
All right. And let's see, we have our 3 winners here. So
Oh, very
I'll
good.
come back on the screen. So we got our list of winners over here. So 4 copies of your tailgating book over here, Patty. So we are giving copies away to Greg Jones. Congratulations, Greg. Amy Strauss and Jenny Lee Wright. So I think we heard from Jenny earlier. So congratulations to the 3 of you. And if anybody else is interested, I know you said the Pitt Bookstore has copies
Yes,
of these as
I
well.
do. Dick's Sporting Goods is carrying it, and the Robinson Cranberry and Southfield store. We have a smokehouse a little bit over in Murraysville, a little further east, called Bardini's, which is carrying it. And and then we have Brushes and Beans Cafe here in Murraysville also. And he does a lot with the Pitt football and stuff. He's really interested in. So he's a really good Pitt guy. Or just for me directly, and they'll have the information on.
I got my copy, so I'll be doing
That's right.
Yeah, we'll have it in the follow-up, and then for everybody watching on YouTube too, we'll post your webpage in the link.
Great, thank
So they
you.
can see pictures, and then also find copies of the book as well too. So, all right. Well,
Thank
that's all we have for today. I'm looking forward to eating what we have here. If anybody was cooking along live, they should have about 20 minutes left before it's their
Yes,
time
you see the
to
cake's
enjoy
really
it.
coming up really
Yeah.
nice.
So we're gonna sign off over here, just get to the fun part and start eating.
All
So
right, thank you so much.
thank you, Patty, and go Pitt.
Thank you, Tyler.